guys, welcome back to the channel. We're doing another cook today on the KJ. This is something I wanted to do for a little while. I've seen a few different iterations of it floating around, so I want to try and do my own version of it. So we're making buffalo chicken burgers. Now, I've seen these done a few different ways. We kind of make the buffalo chicken, chop up, put it into sliders. I've seen it done in sandwiches or melts, but I think a good old chicken burger is definitely the way forward. Now, we're actually going to make our own buffalo sauce. Not completely from scratch. We're going to use Frank's Red Hot and turn that into our buffalo sauce. We're also going to make like a blue cheese mayo to go along with it, and then we're going to crumb the chicken with a little bit of seasoning in there as well from the Smokey Carter. So I'm super excited about it. Let's crack on. The chicken I have already prepped, so we're using chicken thighs for this. Traditionally, when I do chicken burgers, I usually use chicken fillets, but I've seen so many people make burgers from chicken thighs, so I thought it was about time I give it a try. I trimmed those up and got them into a buttermilk brine. Probably they have been in there for just over 3 hours. So we're going to prep a couple of little bits first, and then we'll get them out and get them coated. So they don't need an awful lot of time to marinate. I wouldn't leave them any longer than 8 hours in the buttermilk brine. So if we can give them sort of 3 to 4 hours, I think that's probably optimal. But first we need to make that blue cheese mayo, because we want to give it a little bit of time in the fridge to kind of blend together and get those flavours going in it. Okay. Well, blue cheese sauce has to start with blue cheese. So we have like a creamy blue cheese here. Traditionally it would be done with like a more drier cheese that you would crumble up into the sauce. But I want to see if we can break this down into the mayo and the sour cream, etc., just to see if it gives it a little bit of extra richness or thickness to the sauce. It might not work, I don't know, we're experimenting. So let's give it a try. So we'll get that in first. See if we can give it a quick mash down. Next, we're going in with our sour cream. I add this a little bit at a time and try and incorporate it into that cheese before we do anything else. That's actually broke down pretty well. I'm going to switch over to the whisk at this point so we can go a little bit harder at it. Okay. It looks pretty well incorporated into the sour cream. Next, we're going to go in then with the mayo. So we had about a 1/4 cup of sour cream. This is about 1/2 cup of mayo. Combine that. Okay, that's a nice consistency. Cheese is broke down well in it. Now we'll go in with good grinding of pepper, salt. I'll grab just a few fresh chives from the garden. About a tablespoon's worth. I'll give it a taste. Oh, there is a good funk to that. Right, I'm going to get that into the fridge, let it chill out for a little while we get everything else ready. That is going to pack a punch. Okay, our chicken has been in the fridge for around 3.5 hours, just in plain buttermilk. So I haven't added into the buttermilk because I don't think it's going to be in there long enough that's really going to add any flavour to it. The main purpose of the buttermilk is to break down the chicken thighs a little bit and tenderise them. Actually, I'll put on 2 gloves for this. So get them up, try and get some of that excess off. You don't have to be too fussy. Just put them into a bowl for now. Don't discard the buttermilk because we're actually going to use it as our dredge. I always make such a mess when I am battering or crumbing anything. I can never do it and not just splatter stuff everywhere. Okay, set that to the side for now. Clean down. Okay, so if you've ever coated anything before, you know we have wet into dry, well, dry into wet into dry. We've already gone into the wet, but we're going to add into this buttermilk a beaten egg. We'll give that a beat together. Move that out of the way. Now for the dry part. So here we have about a cup of flour and a couple of tablespoons of cornflour. Into that then we're going to add our seasonings. This is going to be our sort of crispy coating on the outside, so this is where we want our flavour to come from. So we're using the buffalo dust from Smokey Carter. As you can see from the fact this is almost empty, I love this rub. So good 2, 3 tablespoons into the flour. Do you know what? There's not much left in that. I'll just put it all in. Give it all mixed together. It's pretty even. So that's our 2 ingredients, our seasoned flour, our dredge, our chicken's ready to go. Let's get a little bit of a production line set up, but then we can get this coated. Okay, before we get the chicken prepped then, I have the kamadojoe fired up just for full direct. The cook rates are on the highest level. We're going to shallow fry these in a skillet first. We'll coat them in our flour mixture, shallow fry them. That means your skillet has kind of filled about halfway. Shallow fry them on one side and flip them over so they're not deep fried where they fry all at once. So we need to get that skillet on to preheat first. Barbecue is sitting around 250C. We're just going in with the 10 1/4 inch skillet from Lodge. And like I say, fill that up about halfway then with cooking oil. Shut the lid down, let that come up to temperature. We want it relatively hot, not screaming hot, but while that preheats in, that'll give us enough time to get the chicken ready. Okay, our production line is ready. So we're gonna go into the dry, into the wet, back into the dry, onto the rack. Into the wet. Back into the dry. Onto the rack. And repeat. Okay, that is the chicken all crumbed. Absolute mess every time. Like, everything's just covered in flour, so I had to have it quite cleaned down first, but they're ready to go on. I don't want to leave them sit in this rack too long so they don't all stick. Let's go over and get them on. The oil is plenty hot now. It's sitting just over 200. As soon as we stick some of these in, I know it's going to plummet. Plus with it, I'd open a lot more often as well. So let's go over and get them on to cook. Okay, so we'll lay them down in gently. Do not drop them in. You don't want to splash oil over the side. Nice and slowly. And we'll maybe put 2, possibly 3 in at a time. Yeah, I think 2 is going to be enough. Don't worry that they're not fully submerged in the oil. We are going to flip these over halfway through, but we're going to give them sort of a few minutes now to cook, and then we'll turn them over and then we'll keep an eye on the internal temperature of them. You are really going for colour. When you're frying stuff like this in oil, you're not really worried about it drying out, especially thighs, but we'll check the temperature anyway just to make sure we're definitely cooked all the way through. But once we're happy with that colour, that's when we're going to get it out. Okay, those have had a couple of minutes. I'll give them a flip over. So those are probing nice with a thermopen. We'll get them out and onto a wire rack just to cool. Okay, so I've lifted those out onto a wire rack. We will leave them be. They're actually going to go back into the sauce again, so don't worry about them cooling down too much. Just get them out for now. Make sure they're not dry and sitting on something that they're going to get soggy. You want them to stay nice and crisp on the outside. Right, those look and smell amazing. But we're leaving the rest for a few minutes while we prepare the sauce. I'll throw them back into the house. There's no reason for them to sit out here getting colder than they need to be. We are going to put them back into the sauce once we prep them, so that'll kind of warm them through again. They'll be back on the barbecue. But just put them somewhere now that they're going to stay nice and crispy. They're not going to get damp. Don't be tempted to put foil over the top of them because you're just going to ruin that crispy coating. We will sort that out afterwards. Right, back over to the barbecue and we'll put this sauce together and then we need to build one up and eat them. Okay, we're going to make the buffalo sauce up in the little carbon steel half pans from kamadojoe. So we'll just get that on over the heat. Now, buffalo sauce has 2 main ingredients. One is hot sauce, or a cayenne based hot sauce. The second is butter. So we're going to go in here with about 120 grams of butter. Just let that start to melt down. Then we're going in with a full bottle of Frank's Red Hot. Now this isn't their buffalo wing sauce, obviously it is already buffalo sauce. And then just a dash of Worcestershire sauce as well. And we'll just let that come to a simmer. Then we'll get our chicken into it. While that's warming through, we can get our buns on the toast. Right, we've made up. Oh, it all kind of came together at once. I wasn't as prepared for this cook as I should have been, and I had some stuff in the house, so I ran in the house and I let my sauce get a bit too hot and it kind of split a little bit. But I managed to get it whipped back together, it wasn't too bad. Still tastes pretty good though. So we have them built up on our buns. We have brioche rolls, a little bit of that blue cheese mayo on the bottom, lettuce, because you need some kind of green stuff in there. Then one of our chicken thighs on. I was kind of thinking I would get two to a burger, but they're actually bigger than I thought, so we've only got one. That has been coated in that sauce. So whenever we've got our sauce all blended together and up to temperature, we threw them in just to get a nice coating on them. Then we have a slice of smoked cheese on there. Use the blowtorch to get it nice and melty. A bit more of that blue cheese mayo, and they're all good. So there's only one thing left to do, and that's dig in and give it a bite. This could get messy. Man, that is good. Oh, that's a good burger. That is everything you love about buffalo chicken wings in a burger. That tangy sauce hits you in the back of the throat. The chicken is crunchy on the outside, nice and juicy on the inside. The blue cheese mayo gives it a real creaminess and a bit of a funk to it. It's almost like an umami, mushroomy taste to it. Obviously from the blue part of the cheese, but that works perfectly. That's so good. So it's a little bit of work to get it all done. Probably even more work to do all the washing up after it. You know, I see my kitchen right now, but it was well worth it in the end. So I'll leave full recipe in the description below if you want to give them a try. You could sub it out and use Frank's buffalo wing sauce, save you a bit of time. If you're not a fan of blue cheese, just leave that part out. Just make it like a ranch dressing even to go along with it. So if you do give it a go, tag me in your photos. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next video.